controller aim assist. All right. I'm going to talk about it, but I want nobody's feelings to get hurt. There's a few fundamental things that people need to understand. When people complain about aim assist, people typically, 95% of them, are not talking about anybody who is playing on the Xbox, Nintendo Switch, mobile, PS4. No one's talking about those guys, because aim assist is not even that strong on the consoles. When people complain about aim assist, they're talking about controller players on PC who have, you know, a good PC, 200 plus frames, yada yada yada, good setup. But here's the deal: when you look at the statistics, controller players are not dominating the leaderboards. Most of the people that are on top of the leaderboards are using mouse and keyboard. Controller players are sometimes on the top. Most of the times they're not. If they're ever on the top, it's usually in a tournament that's more focused on killing than placement. And it's usually in an open tournament, not a custom tournament where every player in that tournament is a pro player. Typically, most of the times in a custom tournament, controller players can do well, but they haven't won a bunch of major tournaments. World Cup was won by mouse and keyboard, but there was a controller player in second place on the duo side of things. But first place was mouse and keyboard for duos and solos. The squad FNCS was, Unknown Army. He won the squad FNCS, but he's one controller player on his squad. Sure, he was not carrying a squad, but he was the main slayer in the squad. The other three, I don't know if they were mouse and keyboard, but I think they were mouse and keyboard. So you have some mouse and keyboard, some controller players on PC showing some success in these tournaments, right? But majority of the tournaments are dominated by mouse and keyboard. That's one side of things. That's how I usually think when I'm thinking about this situation, right? That's how I usually think when I'm thinking about the situation. It's like, sure, some people are complaining, but at the end of the day, look at the numbers. Are controller players dominating every tournament? No, it's mainly mouse and keyboard. But then you can think on the other side. This is the other side. I'm not saying that I agree with this side, but I see the points on the other side. Here's the other side. The other side of it is that controller players on PC are a very, very, very small amount of players, I think, compared to mouse and keyboard. So for them to be at the top in almost like frequently at around the top in most tournaments, it makes you think like, if there were more controller players on PC, would there be a lot more controller players dominating the tournaments? Because mouse and keyboard, I feel like, outnumbers controller on PC. The second part of playing devil's advocate is controller players on PC might be like, well, there are disadvantages of being on controller, which I agree. There are disadvantages, right? But there is, let's imagine for a second that on the mobile phone, when you loaded up Fortnite on your mobile phone, you could have aimbot, like legit aimbot on the mobile phone. As long as you were aiming in the general direction of your opponents, your mobile phone would automatically just headshot anybody in your way. Now, if that was a thing, would mobile players start topping the leaderboards? No, because mobile has so many disadvantages when it comes to building and editing. There's so many disadvantages that they wouldn't top the leaderboards anyways, even if they had a legitimate aimbot. Now, if they had a legitimate aimbot on the phone, would that cause frustration to a player who just got 200-0, right, by a mobile player? Yes, it would still cause frustration to that player. Now, I'm not saying that aim assist is aimbot, but I'm making this analogy, and like just for anybody who's just tuning in, I already gave my perspective on it, which is I don't think it's as big of an issue as people are making it to be. But what I'm doing is I'm explaining the other side of it in a professional manner. So if mobile had a legit aimbot that could just 200-0 just about anybody, mobile players would still not finish at the top of the leaderboards, purely because of the fact that mobile has so many limitations. So you take that, and you take the aim assist. Like, is the aim assist on PC too strong that, you know, it is causing a lot of frustration to people who get beamed? But controller on its own has enough disadvantages to where controller players are not going to be finishing at the top every tournament. There's a correlation there that could potentially be drawn, but like, if you did nerf aim assist, then control players would never even be near the top of the leaderboards if it was nerfed. Like, this one strength that they have, this one true strength, would go away, and then all the disadvantages would shine on the controller, and then the control players would never be able to play at the top level. Back when the controller didn't have Builder Pro, aim assist settings, all those like controller settings, before they had that, control players were a lot easier to kill. There was never really like top control players on even on PC that were like dominating the scene. So, you know, like, they would go back to that. Like, they would go back to never being able to compete. And I think it's just like, at the end of the day, sure, controller aim assist is very strong, especially on PC. On PC only, it's very strong. People can be frustrated. I get frustrated when I get beamed, but sometimes I get beamed by PC player. I get frustrated. Everybody gets frustrated when they get beamed. Even controller players get frustrated when they get beamed. But it's like, it's a part of the game, and it's not like controller players are winning every single tournament. They're rarely winning, and they're rarely amongst the top. And a majority of the top players are mouse and keyboard. So I think it's a very complicated issue. It's a very complicated issue. But another aspect of it that you got to think about is a business aspect of it. Is if Epic nerfs controller players and makes it hard for them to compete, I feel like there's a lot of controller players, and they won't be happy about that, and they'll stop playing competitive Fortnite, or they'll just stop playing Fortnite, or they'll feel like, you know, hurt by it and not want to play, or they'll riot, you know, like they'll, you know, be harassing Epic about it the whole time. And I don't think that's worth it. I don't think it's worth pissing off controller players by nerfing aim assist, because it's like literally the only thing they have going for them. Their edits are technically harder to pull off. Like, almost everything is better on the mouse and keyboard, and that's it. You know, I don't know. It's a tough. It's a weird issue, because 5 years ago, controller players could not compete against mouse and keyboard, and most games were not cross-platform to begin with, and most games either supported mouse and keyboard, or there were a console game that supported controllers. We're entering this new era where you have multiple inputs, cross-platform, and you're trying to balance people who are using 2 thumbsticks and people who are using their whole arm, mouse, and keyboard with 30 buttons on the side of their mouse. It's a hard balance. It's a hard thing to pull off. There's always going to be frustrations on both sides, and that's just kind of like, you either accept it, or you're always going to be upset, because there's always going to be this like clash of inputs. Now, that's my thoughts. Hopefully I didn't piss anybody off, because that was not my intention. Pistola. Welcome to the jungle. From way downtown! Oh, he jumped over the shot. What are the odds? Truly. Oh my god. Whoa! He really went up there, though. You see that? You just got dumpstered, son. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know about that one, Chief. That's right. You get hit. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. We don't play games no more. How do I get a beard like yours? Bro, I have a brother who's related to me. And even he doesn't have a beard like mine. It's genetics, man. But even if you're related to me, you might not get the right genetics. Both Junior and Otto, the two that play Fortnite, don't have beards. Junior's a junior in high school. Otto is like second year of college. I could grow a beard my freshman year of high school. It's just how it is, man. And it is what it isn't. Well, it's not what it isn't. It just is what it is, you know? Homie, I saw you. You don't need to hide. Dang it. Luckily, he's got the heals. Guys, more minty pickaxe codes will be given away. And at the end of the day, we're also giving away a drone. The Cloud Striker drone. Make sure you're a sub if you're not. If you want into the giveaway. You don't have to sub if you don't want to. If you don't want to. No pressure. I'm just saying, if you're interested in the minty pickaxe codes, I think we have 6 or 5 more to give away. If you're interested in the drone, we're only giving away one of those. Today's a good day to be a sub. I have 3 younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 4. Achoo! Strong sneeze. Oh! I heard that. He broke his neck. Whoa! Oh, shoot! How's he not dead? So you guys saw the whole drama, not the Ninja Dakota's drama, but the drama about the Winter Royale. How a bunch of people were like using a bug to potentially reduce their points during the tournament, so they can get into easier games, and then after Epic adds their points back in, they would be like high on the leaderboard. You know, I'm glad that creative exists so people can learn how to build and like, you know, perfect their cranking capabilities. But I do also miss that when you ran across a person who can build decently and crank out for height, usually like only good players could build well. Now bad players can build well. So it's like a weird dynamic because like a bad player building well can be dangerous, you know? Oh, dude, this SMG is gonna melt him. You can't keep blocking, buddy. I didn't know the stun lasts long like that. Like he can just